back to the dance of evolving. If you are new to the channel, we are a community of souls who are continually growing into our version of our most sovereign selves. And in doing so, we are giving and sharing everything that we've learned along the way. In doing so, we like to call this inner engineering. I love this because inner engineering is everything. To have a self-awareness of your inner sanctuary. I like to think of that as your heart's most inner light. It's how you truly live. When you feel that your heart is alive, you start to truly live. So today I wanted to talk about triggers. We all have triggers. Our triggers are our triggers, and to own those and not to be a victim of them, but to use our triggers as tools to grow and to break free. And to take the layers of trauma and guilt and fear that we have suppressed within us. Our triggers are tools to shine a spotlight on things that have been controlling us. So with our journaling series, because anything I talk about from here on out for a little while, I want to talk about how we can use this to journal and reflect. I was just reading things that I've been journaling the last 3 months, and it literally brought tears to my eyes, because how we can cycle and grow and then also even circle back to a lot of the thoughts that we have, and it's a way to celebrate, and it's also a way to show how much we've grown from our thoughts, and that we are not our thoughts, and that we can become even more aware. So today, let's talk about how each day we can take an objective seat, really just separate ourselves. We know our soul and our heart, our soul is different from our mind and our body. Our mind, we have many thoughts. Our body is a vessel, and then we have our soul, our spirit man, our spirit woman. When we become aware and we observe our triggers and what tends to take control of us, what activates these reactions, then we can also see, okay, well, how do we react or respond to these triggers? A lot of times these reactions are things that do not serve us any longer. For example, naturally we're going to go to things that make us feel safe, and these things are really bad habits. So for example, ways to cope with triggers could be alcohol, drugs, overworking, overeating, any forms of addiction, jumping from relationship to relationship, codependency in any type of relationship. These all come naturally. The more that we go to this particular coping mechanism for our trigger, it's our natural, the more we feel this trigger, it becomes our natural go-to pattern. The more momentum we give this pattern, the more it takes control over our life. So is this something that we should pay attention to for growth? Yeah, because if we don't, guys, we actually become a slave to it. So what I want us to focus on today for growth is noticing your triggers and taking inventory of how they affect your life. I've been doing this, and it's been blowing my mind. And noticing how they keep showing up over and over again. And I heard, and I saw this on Women of Impact, one of my favorite podcasts, and she stated, if you don't show up for what's up, it's going to keep showing up in your life, and it's what you become a slave to, and it's what controls you. And it's so true. So the journal focus today that I've been really, honing in on is what triggers me, and how does it make me feel? And then what do I do in response to that trigger? So just recognizing that initial part of my life, and having that awareness will stop the momentum of that. And then from there we can think, okay, well, how do we pull ourselves out in a non-biased view, and what should we do from there? So in a bit, I will, I'll be showing us here the journal entries, but yeah, what triggers you? How do you feel when you have this trigger? And then what response do you have? From there, then we can start to think, well, we can start to build this internal family system. It's like our self energy, our higher self. We can become curious compassionate, courageous, calm, and creative within ourselves. We have this within us. And when we look to our source and we know that our self energy, our higher self, this is in our internal family system, we can start to observe the triggers, how we feel with these triggers, how we respond. And then we can start to reframe this and start to rebuild these responses. And we can actually start to learn from them. We can start to learn, well, what does this trigger need to reveal for me? And speak to this trigger. I know this sounds so strange, but guys, it works. So let's speak to the trigger and the awareness, and help us to be able to grow. It's crazy. So we can stop and actually, okay, well, what is the trigger? So let's say it is an extreme abandonment, you know? So if someone all of a sudden doesn't pay attention to you, or you feel that someone doesn't care for you, and their actions, now we all know in situational awareness, people have a lot going on in their lives. We cannot depend on another human being to feel important, to feel worth, or to feel valued. So when we start to put that energy on someone else, subconsciously they're probably going to feel that anyway. And then as soon as they let us down, trigger, we start to feel abandoned, or, you know, that we don't feel important by them. And then we have the trigger. We have to think, okay, well, how does this make me feel? Well, it makes me feel abandoned. It makes me feel lonely. It makes me feel like we are not valued. How do we respond? We have to look at how we respond. Many of us respond in different ways. It could be any of the things that I listed earlier. Then this is where we can start talking to that trigger. What do I need to learn from this? Well, a lot of us truly need to learn self-love. I mean, that's such a broad thing. And honestly, it seems unattainable for so many of us. But how do we soothe ourselves? How do we show ourselves the kind of love that we give everyone else? How do we have excitement for our future and, you know, fall in love with life? Because that's what it's truly about. So looking at these safety mechanisms that we go to because we just want to feel safe. So instead of going out drinking, or instead of, you know, all of the things that we were talking about earlier, like instead of overeating, or instead of looking at any form of addiction or jumping to the next relationship, or, you know, having rage toward our friend, instead of doing all of these things, what are ways that I can break this pattern and form a new healthy pattern that serves me? You know, it could be journaling. That could be one thing. It could be listening to a podcast. It could be getting up and shifting your state and taking a walk. It could be thinking about a new business plan or something that excites you. It could be finding a new hobby. Any new pattern that shifts your state. And even just giving this trigger a hug, you know, mentally giving it a hug and saying it's okay. It is okay that you feel that way. But finding what way can you soothe yourself in this moment and not return back to the pattern. But unless you notice the pattern that you're going to, the whole safety mechanism that you're returning to that hasn't been working in your life, you won't know when to stop it. When we do this, guys, it is like we are the hero of our own life. We put a spotlight on these shadows that we have allowed to weigh us down and actually kept us. These behaviors keep us from finding that sweet spot that I mentioned in the other videos, to be able to really, with open heart, feel alive. So I encourage you, our goal is to truly live free into our most sovereign selves. So this week's focus, we can think, what triggers me? How does it make me feel? And what is my response to this trigger? And then a new thing that we can focus on from there is your internal family system. With curiosity, compassion, courage, a calmness, and creativity, start to think, what is a new response that I can now show to that trigger? What can I learn from this trigger? You can rehearse this in your mind. Start to visualize yourself doing this. And then practice it. If you fail the first time, or if it's really hard, just congratulate yourself for having that awareness of the trigger and the response. And then continue to practice. Every small step, every small shift is a step toward growth. And first of all, self-awareness was the biggest step toward the growth. So I'll go ahead and I will make sure that I am giving you a visual of the journal entry, even if it's just something that you don't want to journal, but you just want to think about this and apply it. Please do so. If you are finding that you also are noticing that triggers can be a tool for a lesson, post below. Or if you are connecting with this, if this is resonating with you, I would love any of your feedback. And I'm really looking forward to being able to collaborate with a lot of you guys. So I look forward to any comments about any of these topics, or if you have any topics that you would like me to address for any of these quick journal entries. I encourage that as well. If you have not subscribed yet and you're digging this content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Of course, the bell for notifications, and share this video if you think of anyone who would benefit from this. And if you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. I will see you guys again this week. I'm going to post a video on ways to shift your state, whatever I feel called for. I am still doing the shuffle tutorials, but I'm not sure if I'll be posting that this week, possibly. But there will be one coming soon. All right, guys, peace and love, and don't forget, continue to grow, give, and to shine your inner light, and continue this dance of evolving.